The power of reframing a situation is something that I struggled with for majority of my life. And I didn't realize until more recently that reframing a situation, a storm that we're going through, is directly correlated with trusting God. When you're going through a season of hurt and pain and suffering and anguish and mourning, it is extremely difficult to say, God, how are you using this for my good and your glory, right? Like, how is me burying someone I love going to glorify you? How is losing a relationship of someone that I really love, or drawing a boundary and having to create a distance between myself and someone I care about? Like, how is losing my home? How is not having enough money? How are all these things that worldly we think are terrible, how do those glorify God and are used for the betterment of his kingdom? And there are times where in the moment, in the storm, I struggled with reframing what was actually happening, because I wasn't focused so much on what God was doing and how he was going to use that to grow me or grow my situation or make me better, right? Sometimes I focused on the storm. And when you focus on the storm, Peter, you're going to start to sink. You got to keep your eyes on Jesus. And those are things that I struggled with for a very long time. And so now I've retrained myself to be in the moment and whatever's happening, to look at how God's going to use it. Because I look back, right, and God's never failed me, and it's always worked out for my good, and it's always worked out for his glory. And I look back for things that happened 20 years ago, and at the time I didn't know how God was going to use that, and I really didn't even see the next step. But it's not my job to know my path. It's my job to look down at the lamp upon my feet, and that's why God calls me to take one step at a time, right? He doesn't call me to tell me exactly where he wants me to go, because if he did, I probably wouldn't take that path, right? Because it's probably going to be a pretty treacherous journey. But if he's promised me blessings and abundance, and I can focus on his promise and focus on him and praising him through it, it doesn't seem as bad of a storm. And I know that every storm I've ever been through, he's used for my good and his glory. And so reframing it in the moment is something that you have to intentionally trust God about. You have to go to him about everything. And some of those moments are our hardest time to uh, surrender and be at his feet, to be at his throne, and to ask for his comfort and his peace and his mercy in those situations, because we feel validated. We feel, not that we feel validated to be upset and mad and bitter. And it's not that he's punishing us through those seasons, it's that he's giving us an opportunity to grow. And I really would not have said that 20 years ago. How can losing people I love, how can go to funeral after funeral after funeral after losing, businesses and houses, like, how could me not having the things that I thought I needed, how can that be for my good, right? And that was not my immaturity as a person, that was my immaturity as a believer. And so if you're struggling through a season and you are reeling and you're trying to catch your footing, don't turn to the situation and try to figure it out. Don't try to be the hero of your own story. The victory's already been won, and it's all in Jesus Christ. So turn your eyes to him. That way you can walk on water.